All right, let's talk about one of the most fundamental topics there is, natural resources. I mean, from the phone in your hand to the very air you're breathing right now, it's a story that involves every single one of us.
Our world is this incredible mix of raw, untamed nature and human creativity. And this image, wow, it just captures that delicate dance perfectly. We build our lives right in the middle of nature, drawing from its power, shaping it to what we need, but always, at the end of the day, completely dependent on it. And this quote just nails it, right? It's so easy to think of natural resources as these big, far-off things, like giant mines or remote oil rigs. But the truth is, it's way more personal. Trace literally anything we use, anything at all, back to where it started, and you'll always find its roots deep in the natural world. Okay, so let's really dig into this. What is that turning point? A tree standing in a forest is just a tree, until we decide it could be a table. So what is it that actually turns a piece of nature into a resource?
Well, the key word is utility. An element of nature becomes a resource the very moment we humans find a use for it. It doesn't matter if it's for building something, eating something, or powering our lives, it's that human need that gives it value.
But, it's not quite as simple as just finding something useful. For something in nature to really become a resource, it has to pass three big tests. First, can we actually get to it with our current technology? Second, does it make financial sense to go get it? And third, and this one's really interesting, is it culturally acceptable? Does our society actually approve of us using it?
And this is a perfect example of that third point in action. On one side, you have a sacred plant that's worshipped, not used. On the other, timber that's ready to be harvested. Culture is this incredibly powerful filter that decides what we see as sacred and what we see as just raw material.
So, once something has jumped through all those hoops and we've decided it's a resource, how do we even begin to organize all these different materials? Well, there are a few key ways we can classify them to make sense of it all. One of the easiest ways is to just break them down into three big groups based on why we use them. First, you've got the absolute essentials for survival. Then you have the raw materials we use to build our world. And finally, you've got the energy sources that power our entire society.
And this right here, this is one of our most ancient and direct connections to a resource. Cultivating the soil to grow food, it doesn't get more essential for our survival than that.
But maybe the most important way we classify resources, the one that really shapes our entire future, is this one. Is a resource part of a natural repeating cycle, or are we basically drawing from an account that's one day going to run dry?
And that brings us to a really critical point. We tend to think renewable means infinite, right? But that's a seriously dangerous assumption. Let's get into why. You see, nature, at its core, is the ultimate master of recycling and recovery. Just think about a forest after a fire. Give it time, and it grows back. This incredible ability to restore and regenerate itself is what makes a resource renewable in the first place.
A pristine river. It's like the poster child for a renewable resource, isn't it? It's fed by rain and snow, it cleans itself, it sustains life, all in one continuous, beautiful cycle.
But then you see this. This is what happens when we completely overwhelm that natural cycle. When we dump pollutants into the water faster than the river can possibly clean itself, we don't just make the water dirty, we shatter the entire system of regeneration that made it renewable. So the main takeaway here is this. For a resource to stay renewable, we have to respect its rhythm. We can't use it faster than nature can bring it back. The second our consumption outpaces regeneration, we're not using a renewable source anymore. We're just mining a finite one.
Just look at the story of tuna. For ages, the ocean seemed bottomless. But commercial fishing got so incredibly efficient that we started pulling tuna out of the water way faster than they could reproduce. We disturbed that natural rhythm, and now this vital species is in serious decline.
Okay, so now let's zoom out to the big picture. Because here's the thing, these resources, both renewable and non-renewable, they aren't spread out evenly across the planet. Not even close. It's more like a geological lottery.
This map of India shows it perfectly. Just look at how minerals like iron ore and coal are packed into these specific regions. And that's not just some interesting fact for a geology class. It has huge real-world consequences.
I mean, the location of these resources has literally shaped the entire course of human history. It determines where cities are built, which countries get rich from trade, and who holds power on the world stage. Our history is full of stories of both cooperation and, sadly, of conflict, all driven by the desire to control these pockets of natural wealth. And get this, it leads to this really weird paradox. You'd think that having tons of valuable resources would be a surefire ticket to prosperity, right? But economists have actually identified something they call the natural resource curse. It's this strange phenomenon where countries with a ton of resources can actually end up with slower economic growth and more conflict than countries that have very few.
So all of this, what resources are, how we use them, where they're found, it all boils down to one single massive question. What's our role in all this? What is our responsibility?
And let's be clear, the stakes could not be higher. The scientific consensus is overwhelming. Our current way of using resources is pushing Earth's natural systems to their breaking point, and the results are all around us, from polluted air and water to the devastating loss of animal and plant life, and the accelerating threat of climate change. But there is a path forward. The core idea is to completely shift our thinking. We need to move away from a linear take-make-waste economy and toward a circular, regenerative one, an economy that actually works with nature's own cycles of restoration, not against them.
And so that really leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Our entire civilization, everything we've built, rests on the foundation of what nature provides. The great challenge for us, and for every generation that comes after us, is to finally figure out, how do we return the favor?